And good evening, good evening. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you very much. And viewers, welcome to this, the second encounter in this year's Junior Science Quiz. Of course, we're sponsored by the Antigua and Barbuda Social Security Board. And this evening, after the first encounter, we have another thrilling encounter for you. This evening, we'll be meeting the St. Anthony Secondary School, and they'll be coming up against Jennings Secondary and the Seventh-day Adventist School, all of whom will be seeking to secure their berth in the next round. You're reminded that the two teams with the highest winning score will have an opportunity to duke it out. Of course, we're not seeking to be losers here this evening, so I know that you're all keen on becoming team number one this evening, but just to let you know that the two teams at the end of this first round with the highest losing score will have an opportunity to duke it out to secure their berth into the final round. So all is not lost in this first round. Let us meet our competitors this evening. From the St. Anthony Secondary School, we have Mr. Om Tuani.
Hello, good evening.
And Jaziel Brown.
Good evening.
Karishma Rajpal.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Also standby members for the St. Anthony's Secondary School. We have Vera Hurani, Priscilla Hurani, and Zenia Benjamin. Let's give them a round of applause and say good evening to all of them. From the Jennings Secondary School, Ruth Treasure Chukwuemeka. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Tavez Thomas.
Good evening.
Nala Nathaniel.
Good evening.
And standby members Joanna Saunders, Ozian McCalmont, and Gabriella Clark. We say good evening to those team members. And you know, the standby members are absolutely important because they really do help their teams to prepare and you know, come up to speed for these encounters. So we want to thank them very much. And I know that they're all hoping they won't have to be called into action here this evening. Let us meet our competitors from the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary School. We have Mr. Theandre Smith.
Good evening.
Good evening, Theandre. Jaden Brown.
Good evening.
Alana West.
Good evening.
Standby members, Vinicia Brown and Emmanuel Watson. Let us put our hands together for them. Our judges for this evening's encounter. Miss Ariel Hunt, our independent judge from the Antigua State College, and I was told that she actually lectures in environmental and green science, particularly nuanced area that we are introducing to this space. So welcome to Junior Science Quiz. Happy to have you. Miss Ariana Walker from the Seventh-day Adventist, from the St. Anthony Secondary School. Miss Asha Agard, Seventh-day Adventist Secondary. Miss Stacy Corbett, Mrs. Stacy Corbett Nathaniel, Jennings Secondary School. Let's put our hands together for our judges. And of course, helping us to remain on time tonight is Miss Aisha Lynch, along with all of the other technical people in-house, allowing us to bring to you a truly exciting and educational encounter in this Junior Science Quiz. And on to round one. We know that in this round, it's called our buzzer round. In this round, we'll have one member from each team who will be competing against the others. You will receive two questions. A correct answer in this round will gain you 10 points. Is that clear? If your answer is incorrect, we will turn it over to the other team. Should you interrupt me during the reading of this question, I'm sorry, that should have been 5 points. If your answer is incorrect, I will turn it over to the remaining two teams for an opportunity to answer. Should you interrupt me while I'm reading the question, I'll give you an opportunity to respond. However, if your answer is incorrect, the remaining two teams will receive a full reading of that question. Is that clear? All hands on buzzers. Let us show our viewing audience that our buzzers are working. We'll begin with the St. Anthony Secondary. There we go with the technical. Okay, there we have it. All reset. There we have it. Jennings Secondary. All right, and you know we're scientists, and the laws of probability. What if anything can go wrong, it probably will. So we begin with question number one for our first set of students from our respective schools. Your first question. Which biological process produces carbon dioxide, water, and energy? St. Anthony's?
Photosynthesis.
That is incorrect. The question remaining of the question to Jennings Secondary and the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary School. Which biological process produces carbon dioxide, water, and energy as its end products? Seventh-day Adventist Secondary.
Respiration.
And that is, in fact, the correct answer. Final question for this set. How many basic SI units are there? How many basic SI units are there? St. Anthony's.
5.
That is incorrect. Opportunity for remaining two teams. Junior secondary.
7.
There are 7 basic SI units. We move to our next set. Question number 1 for this set. In which direction does the diaphragm move when air enters the lungs? In which direction does the diaphragm move when air... St. Anthony's?
It moves upwards.
That is incorrect, I'm sorry. The remaining two teams. Seventh-day Adventist.
Downwards.
That seems to be the most logical response. It moves downwards. Thank you very much. Question 2 for this group. What are the building blocks of all living things? Seventh-day Adventist Secondary.
Cells.
Cells are, in fact, the building blocks of all living things. And we move on to our final group. The carpel is made up of the stigma, ovary, and what other part? The carpel is made up of the stigma, the ovary, and what other part?
The style.
The style is, in fact, the correct answer. And the final question for this group, and certainly the final question in this round, how many grams are there in 3.7 kilograms? How many? Seventh-day Adventist?
3,700.
3,700 is absolutely correct. There we have it. We've come to the end of the first round. An opportunity to break the ice. Really, that's what it is. We'll have a word from our sponsors and we'll be right back. Thank you very much, viewers. Please stay with us.
Self-employed persons are independent contractors, including but not limited to doctors, consultants, farmers, fishermen, graphic designers, vendors, bus and taxi drivers, gardeners, and mechanics. Self-employed persons who are also employed are now mandated by law to make self-employed payments. They can declare insurable earnings up to the Social Security ceiling of $6,500 per month. At the end of each calendar year, they may also adjust their declared earnings if necessary.
Contact the Social Security office and ask what you need to know as a self-employed person.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For those of you who are just joining us, we invite you to gather the children around the television. Gather the entire family because you are viewing Junior Science Quiz. This evening, we have the St. Anthony's Secondary School coming up against Jennings Secondary and the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary School. We've had one round thus far. In round number 1, St. Anthony's Secondary, 5 points. Jennings Secondary, 5 points. Seventh-day Adventist, 20 points. So please put your hands together for them. A very productive round for the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary. We now move on to round number 2, which is our clicker round. There will be a total of 4 multiple choice questions in this round. You'll have 10 seconds in which to key in your responses using your clickers in hand. You are allowed to change your responses during that 10 seconds, and the final response is what will be logged once time would have elapsed. A correct answer will gain you 5 points. You're reminded that this is an individual effort. Question number 1 in this round. Refilling a plastic bottle instead of discarding it is an example of... Refilling a plastic bottle instead of discarding it is an example of... And that is time. Care to share with the viewing audience what our thoughts are on that one? Absolutely. Reusing. Question number 2. Mutualism and commensalism are examples of... Mutualism and commensalism are examples of... Correct answer here is symbiosis. Absolutely. You guys are on point this evening. Question 3. The instrument shown can be used to measure the... And this one is a dead giveaway, I think, yes. Instrument used can be used to measure the... And that is time. Correct answer here is... the volume of a regular Solid. Very, very good. Final question in this round. Flowers are important to plants because they and that is time. And I know you all know this one. Attract pollinators. Absolutely. So let's put our hands together for them in a round where I think they all got 100%. We'll have a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
A sickness benefit is payable weekly to an insured person between 16 and the pensionable age who is absent from work because of a certified illness, not due to occupational injury. There are minimum qualifications that must be met before you make a claim. So please contact your Social Security office to find out more. Most importantly, the claim must be made within 21 days of the illness and the Social Security medical certificate completed in full to ensure timely processing.
Contact the Social Security office to have your questions on sickness benefits answered.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had 2 rounds so far in this evening's encounter in the Antigua and Barbuda Social Security Board Junior Science Quiz. We have the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary coming up against the Jennings Secondary and the St. Anthony's Secondary School. In round number 2. You want the scores? Yes. I figured. All right. St. Anthony's, your master total of 50 points, giving you a grand total of 55. After 2 rounds, give them a round of applause. Very good. Jennings Secondary, your master total of 35 points in that round, giving you a grand total of 40. Seventh-day Adventist Secondary, your master total of 45 points in that round, giving you a grand total of 65 points. So I think that all of our teams are in the hunt. Yes, they've done very well to get themselves back in good position after 2 rounds. We'll now move on to round number 3. However, before we pay attention to the St. Anthony Secondary School, we'll invite the Seventh-day Adventist and the team from Jennings Secondary to make their way out of studios. Ready? All right, Jaziel, and Karishma, this is your opportunity to show us what you are made of. This is our free response round. In this round, each individual will receive a question which they must battle with. You will have 10 seconds in which to offer a response. If your answer is correct, you will gain your team 10 points. If it is incorrect, we'll allow your team to assist you, at which point a correct response is allocated 5 points. Is that understood? Remember that this is an individual effort. I invite you to listen clearly as the questions are read, and each question will be read twice. Our first question then goes to Om. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell. I'll repeat. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell.
A vacuole in a plant cell is larger than the vacuole of an animal cell, and hence takes up most space in the cell of the plant cell.
Judges, we will accept. Thank you very much. I see the judges nodding their heads in approval. We move on to Jaziel. Jaziel, your question. How many 25-cent coins, are there in $6.40? I'll repeat. How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40?
There are 24 25 cents and $6. Wait. 24 25 cents and $6.
Yeah, you missed it. Justin, so we'll have to turn it over to your team.
$25.
25 is the correct response. Final question in this round, Karishma. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants. I'll repeat. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants.
Pollination is when pollen grains go from the anther to the stigma on the same plant or a different plant. And fertilization is when pollen grains go from the anther to the stigma and the pollen grains go down the style to the ovary.
Judges? Judges are okay with that? Judges are saying you've offered enough, so let's put our hands together. Thank you very much, Karishma. Judges had you in a bit of bother there, didn't they? Yeah? Yeah. So very well done to the St. Anthony Secondary School. We'll now invite our competitors from the Jennings Secondary to join us in studio. Jennings Secondary, welcome. I trust you enjoyed the music we had for you in the sound booth. Please, you're reminded that in this individual round, each individual will receive a question, which will be read twice. You will have 10 seconds in which to begin offering an answer. If your answer is correct, you will gain your team 10 points. If it is incorrect, we'll turn it over to the entire team for an effort which could gain your team a total of 5 points. Is that clear? Good. And so we begin with student number 1. In this case, we have Ruth. All right. Ruth Treasure, your question. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell.
The difference between the vacuole of a plant and the vacuole of an animal cell is that the vacuole of a plant is usually bigger, while the vacuole of an animal plant is usually smaller.
All right, we'll accept that. Thank you very much. Tevez, your question. How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40? I'll repeat. How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40? That is time. We'll send it over to your team. Question again, how many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40?
$24.
24 is incorrect. I'm sorry. The correct answer here is 25. 25. All right. So no points on that one. The final question in this round goes to Miss Nala. Nala, your question. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants.
The difference between pollination and fertilization is that pollination is the pollen grains from one plant or the same plant or the next that will fertilize the plant, and then fertilization is the pollen grains or the sperm of the plant to the ovule of the next plant or the same plant.
Judges, I think there might have been some confusion in that response, so we'll have to turn it over to your team. Take some time and think about it. Here's the question again. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants.
Pollinization is when the pollen grains goes to the stigma of the plant, and fertilization is when the pollen grains goes to the ovule or the egg.
Judges? I think our judges are going to have to help us out on this one. Judges are saying, no, I'm sorry, they're not quite satisfied with the response. We were hoping to hear the transfer of pollens from the anther to the stigma. Yes? The latter part of the question, of your response, was spot on, but the first portion there seemed to have been some confusion there. So there we have it. We've come to the end of your 3 questions in this individual round. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much for your effort. We now invite the Seventh-day Adventist Secondary to join us in studio. Welcome back, students. You're reminded that in this round, it is an individual effort in the first instance. Each individual will receive a question to which you must offer a response within 10 seconds. You must begin to answer within 10 seconds. If your answer is correct, you'll gain your team 10 points. An incorrect response will allow us to turn it over to your team, at which point you could amass some 5 points for your team. Is that clear? Good. So we will begin with Alana. Alana, your question. Please remember that the questions will be read twice, so I invite you to listen carefully. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell. Explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell. That is time. Alana, I saw you looking at me like, no, send that one over to the team, which I will do now. Huh? Again, explain any difference between the vacuole of a plant and an animal cell.
The vacuole of a plant is bigger, while the vacuole of an animal cell is smaller.
That is correct. That is correct. Question number 2. This question goes to Mr. Theandre Smith. Your question, sir. How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40? How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40? That is time. Turn it over to the team. How many 25-cent coins are there in $6.40? I see you buying time.
25.
25 is, in fact, the correct answer. Quite some strategy there, huh? Final question in this round. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants. Jaden.
Pollination is when the pollen is carried around by insects or wind, while fertilization is when pollen can be made.
Jaden, your team is going to have to help you with this one. Let's try that one again. Explain the core difference between pollination and fertilization in plants.
Pollination is when a bird or an insect carries the pollen to a plant, while fertilization is where a male gamete meets a female gamete.
And team, I'm sorry, but the first part of that question we cannot accept. It's not quite accurate, yes? You were sharing with us one method of cross-pollination, right? Yeah? But there are some key things that we wanted to hear. The transfer of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same plant or another. And that would have been enough to give you some points in this round. But unfortunately, you weren't able to get that one correct. So we'll have a word from our sponsors. We'll return with the scores after round number 3. Viewers, we'll be right back.
Do you know what Social Security Reciprocal Agreement means? It means if you are moving to another country within CARICOM, you can take your Social Security benefits with you. Now, a key feature of the CARICOM Reciprocal Agreement is that residents have the ability to move and not lose their Social Security credits. Plus, you can access long-term benefits once you satisfy existing criteria. Reciprocal agreements serve to ensure that your Social Security credits within the English-speaking Caribbean and Canada are secure.
contact the Social Security Office and ask for more details on the reciprocal agreement.
Wow, wow, wow. I tell you this. This is much like cricket, a game of glorious uncertainties, because we've had some swinging of the pendulum in this case. Am I okay with that science analogy? Yes? Okay, good. So, St. Anthony's Secondary, in the third round, you were able to amass a total of 25 points. Jenny Secondary, 10 points. Seventh-day Adventist Secondary, 10 points. In the final analysis, after 3 rounds, St. Anthony's Secondary, 80 points. Jenny Secondary, 50 points. Seventh-day Adventist Secondary, 75 points. Please put your hands together for all of our teams. Round number 4 is our Beat the Clock round. So we'll now invite the students from the Janet Secondary and Seventh-day Adventist to head back out into our sound booth. Entertain yourselves until we're ready for you. All right, I see the nodding of the heads, so I keep getting the teams mixed up this evening. The S's, right? St. Anthony's Secondary School. Karishma, I noticed that you're in the center, so you're going to be answering on behalf of your team this evening. I invite you to speak loudly. You're reminded that you'll have 60 seconds in which to answer as many questions as possible. All answers should come through Karishma this evening, as you've designated her to respond on your behalf. A new question will only be read once an answer is offered or once you indicate to me to pass. Is that understood? I invite you to listen carefully, huddle a little closer together, and your 60 seconds will begin now. Where in the body are pupils found?
The eye.
Which derived physical quantity has the unit cubic centimeters?
Area.
Where in the digestive system are most nutrients absorbed?
The stomach.
What part of the cell is usually called the powerhouse of the cell?
The mitochondria.
Would a substance of pH with a pH of 6 be considered acidic or basic?
Acid.
Which body system is the cranium most closely associated with?
Skeletal.
How many molar teeth should an adult have?
32.
What is the chemical symbol for lithium?
Li.
True or false? Transpiration involves the loss of water vapor from plants' leaves.
True.
A group of tissue collectively performing similar functions is called what?
An organ.
How many chambers are there in the human heart?
4.
What is the name for the tube that carries air from the nostrils to the lungs?
Esophagus.
What component in the red blood cell is responsible for transporting oxygen?
The red.
What type of potential energy is stored in the battery?
Pass.
Is copper classified as an insulator or conductor of electricity?
Conductor.
And there we have it. That's the end of your 60 seconds. We'll see how just well you did once we return with the final scores. We'll now invite the Jennings Secondary School to join us back in studios. So we welcome the Jennings Secondary School back in studios. Now, by your orientation, we know that you'll be answering on behalf of your team this evening. Very good. You're reminded that you'll have 60 seconds in which to answer as many questions as possible. A new question will not be offered unless you offer a response or indicate to me to pass. Is that clear? I invite you to listen carefully and respond clearly so that our judges may hear your responses. Please huddle a little closer together because your 60 seconds begin now. Where in the body are pupils found?
Eyes.
Which derived physical quantity has the unit cubic centimeters?
Volume.
Where in the digestive system are most nutrients absorbed?
Mouth.
What part of the cell is usually called the powerhouse of the cell?
Mitochondria.
Would a substance with a pH of 6 be considered acidic or basic?
Acidic.
Which body system is the cranium most closely associated with?
The skull, the skeletal.
How many molar teeth should an adult have?
Pass.
What is the chemical symbol for lithium?
Li.
True or false? Transpiration involves the loss of water vapor from plants' leaves.
False.
A group of tissue collectively performing similar functions.
Organs.
How many chambers are there in the human heart?
4.
What is the name of the tube that carries air from the nostrils to the lungs?
Pass.
What component in the red blood cell is responsible for transporting oxygen?
Red blood cells.
What type of potential energy is stored in a battery? You may answer. Thank you very much, and that is the end of your 60 seconds. We'll see just how well you did at the end of this round. The Andrew & Company, welcome back into studios. I know you're outside strategizing for your Beat the Clock round. You're reminded that you'll have 60 seconds in which to answer as many questions as possible. Please note that all answers should come through Theandre with the assistance of the team, of course, and therefore we'll only be listening for his voice. Is that clear? You will not receive a new question unless you offer an answer or indicate to me to pass. Those rules are clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Your 60 seconds begin now, so I invite you to huddle a little closer together. Question 1. Where in the body are pupils found?
Eye.
Which derived physical quantity has the unit cubic centimeters?
Pass.
Where in the digestive system are most nutrients absorbed?
Large intestine.
What part of the cell is usually called the powerhouse of the cell?
Mitochondria.
Would a substance with a pH of 6 be considered acidic or basic?
Basic.
Which body system is the cranium most closely associated with?
Skeletal system.
How many molar teeth should an adult have?
32.
What is the chemical symbol for lithium?
Li.
True or false? Transportation involves the loss of water vapor from plants' leaves.
Pass.
A group of tissues collectively performing similar functions is called?
Pass.
How many chambers are there in the human heart?
4.
What is the name of the tube that carries air from the nostrils to the lungs?
Pass.
What component in the red blood cell is responsible for transporting oxygen?
Red blood cell.
What type of potential energy is stored in a battery? You may answer.
Chemical.
Thank you very much. There we have it. Let's put our hands together for all of our teams. We'll have a word from our sponsors, then we'll return with the final scores. Viewers, we invite you to stay with us.
A sickness benefit is payable weekly to an insured person between 16 and the pensionable age who is absent from work because of a certified illness, not due to occupational injury. There are minimum qualifications that must be met before you make a claim, so please contact your Social Security office to find out more. Most importantly, the claim must be made within 21 days of the illness and the Social Security medical certificate completed in full to ensure timely processing.
Contact the Social Security office to have your questions on sickness benefits answered.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For those of you who have been following us by television, you know that you are tuned in to the Antigua and Barbuda Social Security Board Junior Science Quiz. And I'm most certain that we were able to jog your memories this evening and you sat there recalling all of the wonderful science lessons you had and all of the scientific facts you learned, although also those in studios. Yes? I must apologize. I think the judges pointed out that during the reading of one of our questions, Seventh-day Adventists, I used the word transportation as opposed to transpiration, and that might have caused some confusion there for you. So they were able to fix that up for us, and so we can move forward in this case. The points during round number 4, St. Anthony Secondary School, 45 points. Jennings Secondary, 40 points. Seventh-day Adventist Secondary, 30 points. The final analysis, St. Anthony Secondary School, 125 points. Jennings Secondary, 90 points. Seventh-day Adventist Secondary, 105 points. Which means that the St. Anthony Secondary School automatically moves forward to round number 2. Let's put our hands together again for them. I wish to thank you all. You've been great ambassadors of your school. It's never very easy to sit in front of these cameras and your peers and be quizzed. So I really want to thank you for choosing to be a part of this and to represent your school in this way. I want to give each team, though, an opportunity to very briefly express some gratitude to those individuals who assisted in their preparation. We'll begin with the St. Anthony Secondary.
First of all, I want to thank our principal for allowing us to be here. I want to thank our teacher, and I want to thank my fellow teammates who helped all of us practice and get ready. And help us get here. And we couldn't have done it without them. So I want to say thank you for everyone, and thank you for the other teams for providing good competition, and good luck to them as well.
Thank you very much, Home. Now,
I first want to thank my coaches, my teachers, the support team, the backup team, my teammates, God for letting me stand up here and talk in front of the camera. And I want to congratulate St. Anthony's and congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much, Nala. DeAndre.
I would like to thank my teachers and supporting team members and classmates for everything they have done to support us during this session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very kind. So there we have it. The St. Anthony Secondary School, you joined last week winners into the next round, and so we certainly look forward to engaging with you a little more as we get deeper into this competition. Viewers, we want to thank you for joining us this week, for choosing to be a part of this experience and for supporting our students in this way. We also wish to thank those of you who came into studio to support your schools, your standby members. We wish to thank our judges, our technical folks who ensure that we can have a fair competition, as well as our camera guys who can guarantee that, you know, I sound great, you look great, you know, and that we can just have a wonderful, wonderful production for their benefit. So once again, on behalf of the Education Officer with responsibility for Education Broadcasting, Ms. Alicia Knowles, and her entire team at the Education Broadcasting Unit, I've been your moderator, Ashworth Azell, thanking you and wishing you God's blessings. Good evening. Until next week.
Self-employed persons are independent contractors, including but not limited to doctors, consultants, farmers, fishermen, graphic designers, vendors, bus and taxi drivers, gardeners, and mechanics. Self-employed persons who are also employed are now mandated by law to make self-employed payments. They can declare insurable earnings up to the Social Security ceiling of $6,500 per month. At the end of each calendar year, they may also adjust their declared earnings if necessary.
Contact the Social Security office and ask what you need to know as a self-employed person.